Welcome to another edition of Football Game Plan Scout Team Podcast. I'm Emery Hunt, the czar of the playbook. Be sure to follow me on all of my social media accounts. That's Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. If you guys are old school like myself, MySpace, find it out there, Black Planet, whatever you guys still use, some of these old school things right there. But all seriousness, subscribe on YouTube, youtube.com/football game plan, on SoundCloud at soundcloud.com/FBGP podcast. iTunes, be sure to leave us a 5-star rating. And also check out a copy of our Football Game Plan Draft Guide, which is located at footballgameplan.com/2021 Draft Guide. All right. Now that we got all the housekeeping items out of the way, I have a great guest joining me today. That's Shane McGough of Florida International University. Shane, I appreciate you taking time.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for the opportunity.
Listen, I always enjoy talking to offensive linemen because I was a former college running back. So you guys, especially on the interior, because I believe guards in the guard are more critical than guys out on the tackle position. And I'm not knocking my tackles, but man, if my guards in the guard play is outstanding, I'm going to have a great day rushing the football. So from your perspective, playing the pivot position, the center position, how critical is interior offensive line play? Because I think you guys don't get the credit you deserve. You see the tackle position become the sexy position. Everybody wants to play tackle and get paid. But, man, you can't have offense if you don't have good play up the middle.
Yeah, the inside guys, it's a lot of stuff, like you said, goes unnoticed. That goes for everybody on the offensive line. But, I think one thing that sticks out, especially with the interior guys, there's a lot of combination blocks and a lot of stuff you got to be on the same page on, whether it's, passing interior twist or, an interior linebacker blitzing and they're exchanging gaps and stuff like that. So you got to be on the same page. So, you really got to mesh with those two guards, and everyone's got to, play within like one brain almost. And when you get three guys in the middle that, mesh like they do and, all plays one and really know what the other one's doing without even looking at them, then it really starts to take off as an offense.
What's interesting is the fact that football, although a team game, you can have some individual aspects of it. But when you think about the offensive line, the secondary, in some cases the defensive line, but more so the secondary and the offensive line, how valuable is communication, and where would you rank that in terms of being a critical element to playing the offensive line?
Yeah, that's really number one. If you're not communicating, especially playing the center position with given line calls and protection calls and slides and all sorts of stuff like that, if they don't know, if your guard, thinks that you're sliding with him and you're really going the other way, that's a bad day for your quarterback. So communication is vital to a successful offensive line and a successful offense, whether it's the center talking to the guards or the guards talking to the centers, the quarterback giving us, reads he sees, whatever it is, without communication, nobody's on the same page. And, something we used to say in our room in college is, if we're going to be wrong, let's all five be wrong together. So,
how much do you guys, because I think, and this is I will get into this in a second, but I do think offensive linemen tend to be more of the rational folks on the team. The hotheads tend to be guys like myself, the skill players. And how often do you guys find yourself gaining controlling the situation and really educating? Because let's say, for instance, someone like myself that you think you're supposed to score on every play, right? And then you guys come in a huddle and have to really, hey, listen, this is what they're doing, and this is why we had to block it this way. How much teaching do you guys do out there, not only on the field, but also in your film room? Do you go into other positions room and say, hey, man, this is what we did on this play. This is why we did it. How much teaching goes on from the offensive line perspective?
Yeah, a lot of it, there's some things, that you can do right there on the field, whether it's, if you're talking to your own team, let's say like spring ball, like you're playing your defense line the whole time and you got keys that you're looking at and, you go outside and you want them to get better. So, you're telling them, hey, like you're leaning this way, I can tell when you're going to do this, and stuff goes on like that. And then as far as like in a game against another team, you talked about like controlling like our emotions and kind of just like being the rational guys. Offensive line is one of the, the only positions on the team where you're fighting somebody every play. Like there's going to be times where you're not going to win every time. Like you kind of deal with the, taken maybe a little bit of a loss that player. It doesn't go exactly how you wanted it to go because at the end of the day, I don't know what the defense line is going to do every single play. You got to react to it. So someone, like a receiver, someone's supposed to catch it, when they make those mistakes or, something like that happens, we are kind of the guys that are like, hey, man, like it's going to happen. Like keep going. Just forget about it. Next play, like next play mentality.
Your position is one of the more unique ones because, most guys can fire off the football, but you have to snap the ball first and then get into your block. So it's almost like you have to do two jobs before the play even gets started. From your perspective, and because I watched the Liberty game, I watched you against Middle Tennessee, and I'm like, man, this dude does a great job in anchoring. So a lot of times, D linemen will try to cheat and they'll tilt themselves and they'll try to get a quick jump on you because they know you have to snap the ball. But you do a great job of not only doing that, but also really anchoring and then redirecting. How critical are your ability to anchor, and where do you rank that as far as if you're evaluating centers?
Yeah, I do think that is, something that you look at first, their ability to snap the ball and maybe play to their snap hand, because that is, like you said, that is what the defensive line wants to do. They want to line the nose guard up right on your snap hand and just try to rip that shoulder because they know it's got to stay down an extra second. And if you do have the ability to snap the ball and, get back and square back up and anchor down, you pretty much stop the rush right there. So that is, I believe it's one of the top things people look at. And with being, a faster offensive line, like an offensive lineman being a little bit faster than, most heavier guys at 300, it really is, plays in my advantage just to be able to get the ball back, get depth, and get on the same line as my guards and just, hold the wall right there.
Because that's what I love about your game too, is the fact that you're strong and you're athletic, and you touched on it. Because I think we're getting back to. It's funny how cyclical football can be. We've gone from smaller offensive linemen to everybody wanting these big girthy guys, tall, big girthy guys, to now we're getting back to guys that can move like yourself. Because I think you can get out and kind of open up the offense a little bit more so on pulls, trap screens, and things like that. Because if you have a center or a guard that can move, and man, you can do so much on offense. Because people nowadays want to focus on size, but at football game plan, we always say size is not a skill, and we've seen guys at your stature and size dominate up front. So how much of your size is actually an advantage for you out there on game day?
Yeah, I'm right there with everyone else weight wise. I'm 303 pounds, something like that. So, I don't really weigh much different. Obviously, there's those real heavy guys that play nose guard sometimes, but I'm 6'1.5", like when it comes to paper, pretty much 6'2". So there's obviously advantages to being longer, reach and stuff like that. But when you can put yourself in the right position and get underneath someone, that plays an advantage too. So it depends how you look at it. I'm never gonna go into the thing saying, "Oh God, like I'm playing against this guy 6'6", like I'm toast." No, you watch film, you watch other short guys or shorter guys that have done it, and you watch the techniques they used, and then you kind of translate it to how you play. And that's kind of the thing I did. I watched centers like Jason Kelsey, who's also like 6'2". You kind of watch him and realize and take his technique and take it into your play. And you got to harness it. You got to just have the right mindset for it.
It's funny you bring that up because that's one of my sticking points that I always like. I try not to. I've gotten better at not arguing like with folks. I kind of just like let them talk, and whether they're right or wrong, just kind of just sit there and just look at them, because when they quickly bring up size, and I'm like, man, you don't think he knows that? Like, you don't think he's played
Yeah.
this to his whole life? Like, that's what he knows how to do. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? So, looking at the fact that where you played at FIU, program has played some really good games. You guys upset Miami. You've done a lot of good things in college, and that program is still fairly new on the college football landscape. How beneficial was going there, getting coached by who you're getting coached by? How was that beneficial for your growth as a player, but also into a pro prospect?
Yeah, I mean, I owe them everything pretty much. That's the only place I played at and come in. I played under two different coaching staffs. I had three offensive line coaches, so each one, kind of like shaped me in as kind of just like chiseled off the rock, into what I am today. And I was only with my first offensive line coach for a year, and I was still a redshirt. So he kind of taught me some techniques and stuff like that. But my second one, Coach Mogridge, I was with him for 3 years, and he took me from like this retro freshman kid that like kind of knew he can play, but kind of like wasn't all the way there. And he kind of like locked me in, really dialed me in, and kind of gave me the confidence to say like, hey man, like you can play, like if you just dial it in. So he taught me, a lot. I owe a lot to him. And then my senior year, Coach Joel Rodriguez, he came in and kind of put a different spin on things. It's always good to like get the refresher in there. And when he came in and kind of just took what Coach Mo made me and just say, hey man, like go ahead and try this, try that, because being an older guy, he knew that there was some things that like I had, there were tendencies I had that I was comfortable with and comfortable playing with, and he was like good enough to recognize that and not try to change them completely, just kind of turn little tweaks to them. So I give it a lot to my offensive line coaches and my strength coaches there. They got all the summers and springs and stuff with your strength coaches. You spend a lot of time with them, and they build your mind up to get through a lot of tough stuff on the field and off the field. So I owe them a lot.
Yeah, strength coaches do play a integral role, just out, not just in the weight room, but outside the weight room. They see a lot. They coach everybody. They coach all sports, so they tend to have a good grasp. And when in terms of perspective is concerned, you touched about this earlier, and I think it's a great point. The recognition, that's another part of your game that I think stands out, is that you're able to have, great recognition skills. You're not fooled by twists and stunts, and a lot of stuff happens on the football field. It's chaos out there. Once the ball snaps, things are moving fast, but you play with a level of control. So where does that skill set come from? How long it took you to train your eyes to slow things down in front of you? And if you can talk, I know it's a 3-part question, but if you can talk a little bit about some of the things that tend to tip you off to kind of give you a little head start, like, all right, this twist is coming. I know this is about to happen, so I get myself in position.
Yeah, so the first thing that the tool we use is obviously film. So we watch a lot of film during the week and look for giveaways and maybe one of their players leans a little bit or they get off levels a little bit, stuff like that. So film's the number one thing you look at, and then when you're in the game, as they do it over and over, you kind of see like, okay, like were they in this formation, like what were they in? But yeah, you look at keys. So, there's guys, that some teams will be off levels. They'll be in 2-3 techniques. They go to a split front and something's come out of a split front. Down in distance, is a big thing. Levels of the linebackers, caps, stuff like that. So it's all just, little takes and giveaways. Sometimes they don't give you anything and you don't think it's coming. And there it is. It slams in your face. You just got to react to it, which, like you said, training your eyes, that's one of the things I think that, it takes the longest to develop. It takes reps. It takes practice reps. It takes a good staff putting together good scout cards. So when you go against the scout turning during the week, if they're doing it right, you just train your eyes, and eventually just becomes reaction. You see a guy cross your face, if you got to stop, slow down, it just happens. Like you don't even really think about it as it goes. It just kind of turns into, that play. It just, comes across your face and you just do it without even knowing.
That's the part of the game that I think a lot of the fans and people that watch it from the outside don't understand. Like that drill work that, it kind of creates that mentality that, okay, I've seen this before and I could just react naturally. And, that's the part of the game that I really wish people, embraced. And when they talk about, well, how did this guy blow this? Like, bro, listen, there's a lot of stuff that's going on out there on the football field, and they practice this. Sometimes it's just that rep that this guy got him. So now talking about FIU, we could probably call it the family business, because your brother played quarterback there. He was a stellar quarterback there. I talked to your brother before when he was coming up in his draft process. How was it for you being that close in age? And it's kind of funny how it worked out. Like you're an offensive lineman, he's a quarterback, so you're kind of going to play together. How was it playing with your brother? And was that something that you guys kind of planned on as you were going through the whole, your whole life, as far as like middle school and little league and high school and so on and so forth?
Yeah, so we played together, all through Little League and stuff like that. Either I was playing with the older kids because I was heavier, or he would do like an older, lighter kind of thing and come down and play with me. and then we played together a little bit in high school, and then we didn't really, plan. We can't really plan on it in college because I never know if I was going to get a scholarship offer from FIU or whatever it was. And then that was actually my first offer, and once I got it, I was, I was basically locked in. They knew they had me. Like Alex was down there, that's kind of how you draw it up. You want to snap to your brother, so it influenced my decision a lot, but being able to play with them and actually get game reps and snap to them, and I woun't trade that for anything. I couldn't imagine another school where I'd want to go that would beat that feeling of blocking for your brother. And just him helping me out. When I first got down there, I didn't really know what I was doing. And he kind of showed me the ropes, so how college is, and what to do and what to stay away from. Just kind of it helped. You had an older brother in college with you. You can't really complain about that.
I mean, especially where you guys are located. Listen, I can only imagine the chaos that was around that campus. So, good for you to have an older brother that kind of keep you away, keep you on the right track. You talked about Kelsey. You mentioned a guy you watch. Who are some of the other guys that you've watched or that you're currently watching that you kind of pick pieces of their game and add it to yours?
Yeah, another one that I've been watching a lot lately actually is Ryan Jensen. I like to think that other people probably too when they watch. I play with a little bit of chip on my shoulder, a little bit of attitude, and he plays. I can't. There's some words that you could use to describe, but and I love it. Every chance he gets, he's running and clearing a hip. He's taking hits on just letting the defensive line know he's there and know he's in the middle and he's ready to go clean anything up that comes his way. So he's one I've been watching. Obviously, I talked about Jason Kelsey, him just being so fast, and I watch how he gets his body in the right position when he pulls around the edge and he's just running. I watched the Pouncey brothers. I forget the first name of the one that plays center, but
right. Marquise.
Yeah. I watch him a lot. He's pretty much an offensive line legend now. I think they both just retired, or he did.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I've watched them a lot. Ryan Jensen more, lately. I watched a lot of Jason Kelsey in college.
That's a good way to have a good practice to have is because some players that you talk to, they are just in it for the present, and they don't really go and watch the game at all, and that's it was shocking to me when I first jumped onto the media side of, I grew up watching old NFL films, and you kind of, because we didn't have obviously the internet earlier in my childhood or whatever, adulthood. The internet just came about like when I was a junior in high school, right? So we had everything was about VHS tapes and word of mouth, right? Or going and see it in live. So it was interesting to hear you speak about guys that are contemporaries that you watch, and guys that were played in the past that you watch, and that's always cool because that shows you truly love the game. And so I use that to transition into what is it about the game that you really love the most?
I just love the competitiveness. I'm competitive in everything in life. Growing up with an older brother that's 2 years older than you, you guys are always competing at something. It doesn't matter if it's getting off the, who gets home first off the bus. It doesn't matter what it is. We were running, racing, and just like the one, especially the offensive line position. I didn't always play offensive line. And once I got moved to offensive line, I didn't want to play it at first. And then once I started playing it, I just fell in love with it. I like the one-on-one fights, the talking, everything that involved, just hitting each other every play. I love that kind of thing. And especially, especially in college, there's just like the brotherhood and the relationships, like in the locker room. There's a lot of people, you ask them their favorite memory, they're not going to tell you, when I ran for this touchdown. It's going to be when, the whole team went to the Fountain Blue after camp and we were all just shooting crap around, just jumping in the pool, just stuff like that. The memories you get off the field with your teammates.
Yeah, it's funny that you bring that up, because that's one of the things that I always notice when I ask that question, that no one ever brings up like a specific play or game. It's always something like that. Like I remember somebody asked me that. I was like, man, the amount of battles we used to have in the locker room on the Street Fighter game that we had, like it was like it used to get serious in there. and then the Madden games we had as well too. So you're right, man. It's just that's just the part of the game that I just really enjoy. That it just kind of fuses people together, and you end up being long time, lifetime friends on the back end of it. Now you do have a pro day coming up, correct?
Yep.
When's your pro day? Where are you training for? And what is it you're out there trying to showcase to scouts?
Yeah, so it's March 29th, this upcoming Monday. It's down in Miami, obviously at school. I'm training here in Tampa. I'm from here, so it works out well. I'm training at the Trench Academy. I'm really going out there, just to prove to them, that I can compete, that I'm an athletic offensive lineman. I'm really trying to put up some impressive numbers in the running stuff. With bench, I'm going to prove to them that I am strong. I'm going out there to show them, what I do and, what kind of player I am. And hopefully they see that.
I think they will, man. And just for me personally, after you kill that workout, you need to let them know that you could throw farther than your brother. So, I hope you ball 60 yards down the field. I want to see you get out there and show that Big Mick can throw the ball too. You know what I'm saying? Add some more versatility to your game.
Yeah.
But Shane, listen, man, this been fun. It's been a pleasure to talk to you and watch you just dominate out there on the field at FIU and do your thing out there on the field. So we wish you the best of luck moving forward, man, and thank you for taking time.
Yeah, appreciate you so much for having me on.